fights. I was going to retire if I didn't get this Errol Spence fight. I told everybody, prior to me getting the fight, I was like, man, you know what? I said, man, I got a lot of great investments. I really don't need boxing. I said, man, if I can't get that fight, I think I might just hang it up. And everybody was just like, man, why? I was like, man, listen, man. I'm 35 years old. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. I really don't have nothing to prove. I want Errol and Jamel. Them was two history-making fights, that I really want. And man, for that to come to fruition, all I got is Jamel now that I need, to solidify myself as the all-time great of all boxing.
So if you got Jamel, would you say I'm done after that?
Of course.
Okay.
100%.
And there you have it, folks. Terence Crawford spilling the beans, explaining to everybody if the fight that he has famously been known for recently by defeating Errol Spence did not happen, he was going to hang up the gloves. And let me counterpunch. If he would have hung up the gloves, retired, left boxing, I would have been okay with it. Why? Because I'm not one of those people. I was the resistance, okay? I was the guy that did not need convincing that Terence Crawford was a Hall of Famer. Terence Crawford was pound for pound the best. Terence Crawford has done numerous of challenges that people didn't really do before him. I wasn't convinced because I already knew that he'd done that. I already knew that Terence Crawford was that guy. I already knew that. It was just other people that did not like Terence Crawford. It didn't have anything to do with his skin color. It had everything to do with politics of the game that led back to skin color. But it wasn't really Terence Crawford per se. He was just the symbol of why they didn't like Terence Crawford. Okay? That was the people that hated on him. And everybody went with Spence, but it was with Spence for a totally different reason. A lot of people. Not all, but a lot. Okay? And if he would have left, I wouldn't have been, and I wouldn't have gave a damn because I knew. I didn't have to convince me. However, a lot of people that questioned Terence Crawford and his choices to stay with Top Rank and his inability to have these fights with Ugas and Thurman and Errol Spence and Porter even. Well, not even Porter because he got the Porter fight eventually. People would have still been saying the same shit about Terence Crawford. He would have been that guy that has been a topic of discussion in bars, barbershops, barbecues, basketball games, all types of different other venues when it came to who is the best pound for pound. And Errol Spence would have still been unbeaten and still would have been raved over Terence Crawford based on what? Beating Sean Porter and beating Danny Garcia and Kell Brook. Who else did he really beat, right? Ugas. You know what I mean? They would have still been looking at him like that because he had the variety of people that could show how good he was because he had access to the fights that he wanted. Well, about 90% of the time because he did want Keith Thurman for a long time. And Keith Thurman, that fight just never happened. Now, again, Terence Crawford they would have talked bad about Terence until they just got tired of talking about Terence. But every time Terence Crawford's name would have came up, they would have been in a situation or at a standpoint where, he wasn't no good. He fought smaller fighters. He was too small for Errol Spence. Errol Spence was too big. He was light in the ass. They would have followed the narratives until they dropped dead. You know what I mean? So I am glad that it happened, but this also explains something about Terence Crawford. This explains when he was talking about, I don't need Errol Spence. That was he was explaining to everyone that, hey, I don't really need to keep fighting. So if I don't need Errol Spence, I don't really need to keep fighting. Why would I need to keep fighting if I feel I've done anything? I've been doing this for a very long time. So why would I chase one guy? You know what I mean? And now the irony of this is everything that he's done, people see it full circle. They see how great he is. Not only was he able to beat those other undefeated guys with ease, he was able to beat the guy that nobody thought he could beat with ease. And he was able to do it. And it just shows you how perceptions change overnight from beating one person. Counterpunch. But at least Terence Crawford can hang his head high in saying this. At least he didn't wait until Errol Spence was too old, or himself being too old, instead of being 35, instead of being 38 or 40 or something like that, into that point where they're just both too old, to the point where, okay, well, how do you prove that you're better? Because the best times that you had to fight are behind you. So at least he knows he's not in a situation like Maypac. He's a situation to where he's at, and I'm glad that he got that opportunity. Now everyone sees that he was great, like everybody, and well, like certain people, including myself, believed he was. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Terence Crawford spilling the beans, that he was ready to retire if he didn't get the Errol Spence fight, and now he's waiting for Jamel. Let's see if that comes to fruition. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.